Hello, everybody. How we doing this evening? We ready for roll call? All right, here we go. Connie, Valerie, Susan, Marilyn, Tracy, Jane, Randy. Let's see. Sloan. Humans joined. Hello, humans. Are you new? I'm not recalling that name popping up previously. Melinda, Luann, KMT, Judine, Tracy, Heidi, Haakon, Haakon. Welcome. Colleen, Jill, Figment in the house. Diane. Hey, Diane. Hey, Dimitri. Hello, Catherine. Manny. Arena. Hello, Arena. Carol. Daryl, Midwest Resistor. Jen, Carolyn, Marie, Deborah, Mary Beth, Oren. Hello, Oren. MJ. Arena again. Hello, Arena. Are you new, Arena? Arena. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm not sure I've seen your name previously. Noreen, Susan, Jane. I'm happy to see you too, Jane. In fact, I'm happy to see all of you. I kind of need this tonight. I need this because I feel like what we're being fed right now. Am I too close to the camera? Is this okay? Is that better? Um, It's like an old David Letterman skit, right? Is this good? Is this okay? Um, I feel like what we're being fed right now is straight out of George Orwell's 1984. Up is down, day is night, in is out, black is white. No, day is day and night is night. And no matter how many times Pam Bondi, J.D. Vance, Cash Patel, and Donald Trump try to convince us not otherwise, we're not having it. But I feel like I need to get together with folks in a safe space where truth, accuracy, and facts are still a thing, right? Because we're being fed all kinds of insanity. We're going to focus in on some Pam Bondi insanity in a minute. All right, now I'm way behind on the names, aren't I? Hello, Susan, Jane, Kathy, Daryl, Melinda, Renee, Robert, Elizabeth, Dorothy, Paula. I'm going to try to shoot through. Stacy, Kelly, Pamela, Bridget, not Bridget. Hello, Bridget. Let me see. Oh man, Ariana, you jumped out way early on the countdown, didn't you? That's all right. I'm not mad at you. Richard, Aubrey, Colleen, Catherine. Hello, Trish. Hey, Lee, Terry, Betty. Let me keep going here. Dr. Joe, Diane, Mickey, Nancy, Mary Beth. It's cold in Maine. I spent 3 years with the Army in Alaska, and I swore I would never complain about the cold again. It was chilly up there. I'll tell you stories someday. Mary Beth, Gigi teacher, Lisa, Janice, Kimmy. Hello, Kimmy. Oh, I got a new one here. Harry G. Thank you for giving me the abbreviation Harry G because I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try to pronounce Harry G's full name. Harish Chandra Giwala. Harish Chandra Giwala. Is that even close, Harry G? Send me a note. Phonetic pronunciations are. I'm going to stick with Harry G, right? So I don't mangle your name. Hello, M. Edson, Ellie, Angela, Cynthia, Anatoly. Hello, Anatoly. Sabrina. Used to live in Atascadero. Eric, I'm lousy with pronunciations. My apologies. See, I'm a product of New Jersey Public Schools. What can I say? What can I say? Hello, Darcy, Amy. Oh, Amy, you're human. You're a human. Was that the same? Somebody had the handle human. Blonde legally human. Lisa, everybody is letting me know that they're human. I appreciate that. Bruzina Julie. Hello, Bruzina Julie in the house. Trish, Lori, Kimmy again, Nancy, Fastball, Fredo, Tamara, Susan. Las Gatos in Madrid. I'm lousy at accents too. Hello, MJ. Hello, Laura, Renee. Okay, are we getting ready to do this? Hello, disagreeable mirror from Las Vegas. Um, I'm going to tell you one quick Vegas story. You've heard me say this before. I'm not a gambling man. I'm not a high roller. $1 is my betting limit. And I went to Vegas, well, a couple of times. Once I was very young, but once as an adult, I saw Elton John in concert. I was an Elton John guy when I was growing up. And my wife, my better three quarters, Nilu, and I decided we were gonna gamble, do some Las Vegas gambling. We played the slot machines because we're not gamblers. We're not high rollers. And we were playing for a while, a couple of hours. And at one point, get ready, you sitting down, we were up $58. And I said, I'm out. I made $58. I grew up a poor kid in Jersey. $58, man. We can probably get you know, a lunch with $58 in Vegas. That's all the gambling I've really ever done, for real. All right, everybody, who's going to count us down? I could tell stories. Peter Sobey in the house. Yeah, Peter says, "Oh, frickin' Pam Bondi." Peter's a gentleman, so he goes with frickin'. I appreciate that, Peter. Janice, Ruth, Leah, Angela. I'm looking for somebody to count us down now. Um, let's see. Cherry Spencer. I like that. Cherry Spencer Stark, actually. Hello, Mickey. Nancy, Caro. Who's counting us down? Who's counting us down? I'm looking for the next countdown. Let's see. Let's see. Who's got the countdown? Come on now. I'm looking for it. I'm way, 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 way behind. All right. I'm going to scoot way up on the comments. Oh. Now everybody's counting us down. Thank you, everybody. Three, two, one. Welcome, everyone. We are through the pregame nonsense and the Las Vegas gambling stories. Um, And here's what we're going to talk about tonight. I need you all tonight. I need folks who are reality based and folks who believe in things like, you know, ethics in government service and honor and integrity and decency and empathy and truth. Um, because we really are getting a full dose of George Orwell's 1984 from Trump and Bondi and Cash Patel and J.D. Vance. What a stone cold clown this guy is. And they're going to go after everybody if we say words they don't like. If you say words we don't like, we are coming to get you. Words. What brave, brave souls they are, that if they don't like our words, they're going to leverage the power of government. And Pam Bondi says we're going to prosecute you for your words. We're going to talk about that. So I need you all tonight. Thank you for being here. Y'all are like um, my spirit animal, my comfort dog. You're my service pets. I don't know. You're not pets, but you know what I mean. I appreciate the ability to talk with you all and work through some of this insanity because here's what we're going to talk about. Pam Bondi is not very good at attorney generaling. I know that's not really a word, but she's really lousy at attorney generaling because she went on some podcast and said she will prosecute the American people for committing no crime. Isn't that kind of the core function of the Attorney General of the United States to know that she can only prosecute people for committing crimes, not for uttering words she doesn't like? She apparently didn't know that because let's read her quote together about what she's going to do to people who use words that she doesn't like. Here's what she said, and I quote, "There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there's no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie," Bondi said during a podcast, quote, "We will absolutely target you, go after you if you're targeting anyone with hate speech," close quote. She will prosecute us for hate speech if we use words she finds hateful. Well, guess what? Pam, hate speech is not a crime. Please, we've got this big blue book of laws. It's called the United States Criminal Code. Please read it, or have some of your people brief you on what is a crime and is not a crime. Because as the Attorney General, you shouldn't be threatening to prosecute people for using words you don't like, using words you believe are hateful. That's not a crime. You know, there are words that you can use that do not enjoy First Amendment protection and could lead to a criminal charge. We're going to talk about some of those in a few minutes. Some of what was uttered by Donald Trump in the past, Rudy Giuliani in the past, and others. We're going to talk about that. But I want to close the loop on how Pam Bondi is not very good at attorney generaling, because after she made this statement and she threatened to prosecute people for doing something that is not a crime, she walked it back. But, have you ever heard those walkbacks, friends, where somebody gets caught red handed doing something wrong and they give a half baked apology, right? You've heard it. I didn't do anything wrong. I did absolutely nothing wrong, and I promise not to ever do it again. One of those half-baked apologies where they can't even bring themselves to admit that they did something wrong, accept responsibility, and pledge to, I don't know, learn from their mistakes. Like in Pam Bondi's circumstance, maybe she says, you know what, from here on out, I will only talk about the possibility of criminally charging the American people if they commit a crime, not if they just say words that I don't like. Here's her walk back. Are you ready? You heard what she said. I just read it, that she will absolutely target you for hate speech, which is not a crime. She then posted on X, as all the good attorneys general do, right? She said, quote, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. This is her clarifying what she said. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. That era is over. And then she quite quotes one of the laws in the big, ugly blue book of crimes, the United States Criminal Code. She says, under 18 USC Section 875C, it's a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. This is her walk back. This is her apology. This is her explanation, where she basically does not address the fact that she said something. She threatened to prosecute people for words, even though those words don't constitute a crime. And her walkback says that hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence will not be tolerated. Pam, you made the initial statement and you said nothing about threats of violence. Yes, threats of violence violate law, both federal and local, state laws. I think virtually all of the states have criminalized threats against another. But that's not what you said the first time. So by pretending that what you said was, oh, I was talking about threats of violence, not hate speech. No, you weren't. And your apology is bullshit. And you don't accept any responsibility. You misdirect in your walkback, in your apology. You misdirect and try to give the impression that you said something different the first time. We're not stupid. We see what you're doing, Pam, and you're not very good at attorney generaling. She also happens to leave out an important clause in the federal law that she quotes selectively. Here's what she quotes. I'm sorry, this is a little hyper technical, but please stick with me for a minute. Pam says it's a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. You know what she forgets to quote? The introductory clause. The introductory clause to that federal statute, that crime, is whoever transmits in interstate commerce any communication containing a threat to injure another or kidnap another can be federally prosecuted under this statute. So even her explanation is not satisfactory because she didn't even include the fact that she can't come after anybody unless somebody transmits the threat to injure or kidnap another in interstate commerce, right? Across state lines, which can be if you post it on the internet, yes, but if somebody just utters a statement that threatens another, it's not a federal crime under this statute. It has to be transmitted in interstate commerce. A little hyper technical, but you know, when I was a career prosecutor for 30 years, I kind of had to pay attention to the details because it makes the difference between having federal jurisdiction over a threat and not having federal jurisdiction over a threat. Pam, please have somebody summarize the criminal code for you, please. So let's now step away from Pam Bondi, not, but it's always a relief when we can step away from Pam Bondi, not attorney generaling very good. And let's talk about when speech is actually criminal, can be criminalized, can be prosecuted. So ordinarily, even hateful speech enjoys First Amendment protection. So you can talk about hating all you want. And goodness knows lots of people out there talk and post about hating this and that. We hate the other. We hate the immigrant. We hate anybody who's trans. We hate gays. We hate, blacks. We hate Asians. We hate Hispanics. We hate and we hate and we hate and we hate. There's a lot of that goes on every day. I don't hate anybody. Nobody. I tend to love my neighbor. Um, and I'm going to stop there in case any of my neighbors are listening. Um, so hate speech is protected by the First Amendment. We get to express our hateful beliefs, for better or worse. I think it's for better. I don't think you want to stifle free speech by deciding what is too hateful to say and what's not. Where you lose First Amendment protection, when your words lose First Amendment protection, is if it's an outright threat of violence. I'm going to kill X, X being a person. That's communicating a threat. That can be a state crime. It can be a federal crime if it's transmitted across state lines. That doesn't enjoy First Amendment protection. But that's an easy example, right? Because you can't threaten to kill another. That's criminal. You don't enjoy First Amendment free speech protection for that kind of a statement. So the test that was set out in, I think, 1969 in the Brandenburg case, the Supreme Court set out the test. Basically, words, even hateful words, even incendiary words, even words that will infuriate people, only lose First Amendment protection if those words are intended to incite imminent violence and reasonably likely to incite imminent violence, right? Kind of a two-part test. I'm taking minor liberties with the exact language. So, what are some examples that we have seen in recent American history of words that are intended to incite imminent violence? That means violence is going to happen right now or very quickly after I speak these words. Like, hey, go beat the hell out of that guy standing on the corner. That is intended to incite imminent violence, and it is reasonably likely to incite imminent violence if somebody hears me say it and they go assault the guy standing on the corner. So those words don't have First Amendment protection. Let's go to some examples, shall we? Remember when Donald Trump invited everybody to DC, come to DC on January 6th will be wild. Remember when he ginned up the crowd in his pre-insurrection pep rally on the ellipse? And remember when he said things like, if you don't fight like hell, you won't have a country anymore. And he followed that up with, now go to the Capitol and stop the certification of Joe Biden's win. He didn't use the clause certification of Joe Biden's win. He used the term stop the steal. Fight like hell or you won't have a country anymore. That will inflame people because everybody wants to keep their country, right? And if they have to fight to keep their country, as the president just told them to do, they're going to do it. Now go to the Capitol and stop the steal. Steal was inflammatory because he had lied to his supporters, those who were gullible enough to believe him, lied to them and made them believe their vote was stolen, their election was rigged, and their president was being wrongfully taken from them, all of which was a lie, according to Donald Trump's own executive branch agencies and officials. So I would argue that those words by Donald Trump don't enjoy First Amendment protection because they are intended to incite imminent violence. They are reasonably likely to incite imminent violence. And what did those words do? They incited an attack on the U.S. Capitol and more than 140 police officers who were assaulted while defending the U.S. Capitol against an attack launched by Donald Trump. Let me give you another example that's even more direct and perhaps easier to digest. Remember when Donald Trump said in one of his campaign rallies, when somebody in the audience was exercising their First Amendment free speech rights, speaking out about or against what Donald Trump was saying? What did he say? Knock the hell out of him, and I'll pay your legal fees. That is a no-brainer on whether it satisfies the two-part test set out by the Supreme Court in Brandenburg. Knock the hell out of him and I'll pay your legal fees is intended to incite imminent violence, knock the hell out of him, and reasonably likely to incite imminent violence. Not only go knock the hell out of him, but I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to protect you when you obey my command to assault by paying your legal fees to make sure you don't get in trouble for assaulting someone as I directed you to do. That's not First Amendment protected speech. And remember on January 6th, I forgot, Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump's little sidekick, little henchman. What did he say? He told the crowd, let's have trial by combat. These are examples of political speech that don't enjoy First Amendment protection because they are intended to and reasonably likely to incite violence. And indeed, on January 6th, they did incite violence. So all of this nonsense we hear about, from all of these characters saying things like, oh, it's the radical left lunatics who are always assaulting and inciting violence and celebrating violence. No, yeah, there are folks on the left who undoubtedly have engaged in violence, but look at the numbers. Look at Donald Trump's conduct, his words, and look at, for example, after Speaker Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, got the hell knocked out of him with a hammer, the jokes and the memes that the right put up celebrating and mocking what happened to Paul Pelosi. Come on. We're not foolish enough to fall for Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and JD Vance telling us that, black is white, in is out, day is night, up is down. We're not falling for it. And just as I saw some of the congressional testimony today, the Senate testimony, where people, senators were predicting Kash Patel may not be long for his job. If Pam Bondi continues to threaten to prosecute people who commit no crime, she may not be long for her job either. We'll see. Um, but I appreciate getting to be with you all because when you see the propaganda, just outright lies spewed by Vance and Bondi and the rest of them, you feel like you kind of need to um, bathe in reality and truth and accuracy and decency, and that's why I appreciate being able to jump on with you all. Um, because every day, by the end of the day, you can get pretty worn down from fighting the good fight, right? If you're anything like me, I'm pretty worn down by the end of each and every day. Um, of course, I think I have 4 or 5 interviews scheduled for tomorrow, so you know that when the morning light comes streaming in, we'll get up and do it again. All right, everybody. Thanks for jumping on with me. I'll be back with you all tomorrow night. I'll be on Substack a couple of times tomorrow. I think at 6 p.m. I'll be on if you're interested with Mike Fanone, Adam Kinzinger, and Frank Fagluzzi. I guess we're all going to do a little joint Substack, I think. So I will send out a note about that as soon as I have the details nailed down. And I hope to see you tomorrow. I'll be back here at 8:30 tomorrow night. We'll do another law talk, and we'll see what tomorrow holds in store for us on the legal front. All right. Good night, friends.